What's going on, guys? Armand here. So about 6 months ago, I upgraded my Sony a7R4 to the A1. And my main reason for upgrading was the inherited video features from the a7S III, but this camera adds so much more than just that. So I've taken the A1 on a bunch of trips. I've taken it to Rainier, I've taken it up and down the Oregon coast, taken it to Arizona to go storm chasing. I've taken it here in Oregon to the mountains in the snow. I've shot with it so many times in so many different places over the last 6 months, and honestly, there was never a time where I wished I was shooting with a different camera. Like, it checks all the boxes, it works flawlessly every single time I turn it on. 50 megapixel sensor is amazing with 14 or 15 stops dynamic range, give or take, 30-second frames per second continuous burst, even though it's only compressed RAW. But if you want uncompressed RAW, then it's 20 frames per second continuous burst, which is still good enough for most fast-moving situations. In-body image stabilization, and one of my favorite features is the 9.4 million dot EVF, which looks amazing, and it's extremely close to an optical viewfinder in my opinion, which was also inherited from the a7S III. Up to 1/8,000th mechanical shutter and 1/32,000th electronic shutter in the super sweet addition of the variable shutter speed. If you're shooting a situation with LEDs that look like they're strobing or have some kind of weird banding or something like that, you can set your shutter speed to like these weird variable shutter speeds, like 1/816th of a second. It's really weird, but it works. I haven't had to use it myself yet, but it's nice knowing that that feature is available to me if I need it. And I think situations like concerts or maybe weddings or situations where you don't really have control over the lighting, that's where the variable shutter speed is really going to help. The A1 has dual card slots that fit CF Express Type A and regular SD cards, and personally I would really only use CF Express cards with the A1 because you want to be able to maximize the read and write speed potential of the camera, especially if you're shooting high frame rate burst mode with photos or any of the 10-bit 4K video modes, and especially with transfer times being so much faster with the CF Express cards. Honestly, I think it's worth it to spend the extra money with those, even though they are more expensive, unfortunately. It's kind of worth it, which brings me to the reason I upgraded, and that is the video features. It has all the same video specs as the a7S III and the addition of 8K video, which I don't really ever use 8K video, but knowing that that option is there is really nice. The file sizes are gigantic, and honestly, it's just kind of overkill for what I do. I do think 8K video is the future and kind of like the next evolution of video shooting. But personally, most people don't even really have a way to watch 8K video, so it kind of defeats the whole purpose. But maybe in the future, 8K video is like where 4K is now. You know, 4K is just kind of the standard now. There is a slight crop with 4K 120 10-bit in the S&Q mode, but the crop is so small, it's like 1.1 times crop. It's honestly not even that noticeable. So those are a few of the highlights of the A1, and here are my overall thoughts about it after using it for the last 6 months. So in total, the A1 has been out for about a year now. Came out in January of 2021. I don't know if there's anything new I can tell you guys about the A1 that you don't already know, but it's still one of the best, if not still the best cameras out there that you can currently buy, especially as a hybrid. Yes, it's still really expensive, but in a way the price is kind of justified. It's like an a7R4 and an a7S III like packed in the same body. It's ridiculous. All combined price points into one as well. Unfortunately, that definitely hurt the wallet a bit, but well worth it, I think, if you're a full-time photographer and video shooter. It's just so convenient to have an all-in-one camera. It's always been super reliable and really fast to use, whether I'm shooting landscape photos or I'm shooting portrait photos or whatever. I have never had any issues with it over the last 6 months, and it always performs when I need it to. My main gig is travel and landscape photography, and over the past couple years, video has become a really big part of my job, and to have a camera that's just a really nice all-in-one, does videos and photos to the highest quality that's available right now, is a really, really awesome thing. so convenient to not have to switch lenses when I'm out in the field, and I can just flip a dial on top and now I can shoot 4K 120 10-bit or 4K 24 or whatever video specs I need in the moment, and also with the added bonus of S-Log3 or S-Cinetone or no profile, which most of the time I shoot no profile anyways, just because it looks so great out of camera, and it's still 10-bit, so I can still grade it if I want to, and it just looks awesome. Something that some people don't mention is the new color science, which they added in when they came out with the A7R4, and that was also a new sensor at the time. The colors are a lot more neutral, and they don't really have that ugly like green tint that Sony was known for so long, because now the colors are fantastic straight out of camera, and it just looks amazing. One thing I absolutely love about it is when you turn the camera off, the mechanical shutter drops, protecting the sensor from any dust, or if you put your finger on the sensor for some reason. I think that's a fantastic feature they added, and honestly every mirrorless camera should have that. I think one of the most noticeable differences coming from the A7R4 to the A1 is how fast the camera is and how fast it responds, even from the time when you turn it on to taking the photos, and even just scrolling through the menu. Like, the new menu system is something I really like, and especially the camera has a full-on touchscreen on the back, which I wish all of Sony's previous cameras had that, because all the other camera manufacturers are doing it. So one cool thing about having an A7S III along with an A1 is that the A1 up until 12,800 ISO actually looks way cleaner ISO and video wise, and then from 12,800 on, the A7S III looks better and cleaner ISO and video wise. So that is something kind of cool to have, like the best of both worlds, because most of the time I just shoot with my A1 and then I shoot my YouTube videos with A7S III. That's what I'm shooting on right now. I also vlog with the A1, but you don't really need to be like too nitpicky about what camera you're vlogging on. I could even use this thing. It would just kind of suck to not have the flip out screen. If I had to give any criticism over the A1, it would be that there's no flip screen, and honestly I don't know why Sony didn't add that. If I had to guess why they didn't do it, it's because the A7S III came out a couple months prior to the A1, and they probably didn't want to distract sales from the A7S III because it was still new and everybody was shooting with it, or they really think pro photographers don't want a flip out screen and they just want the tilty screen, which honestly I don't think that's the case anymore, because so many people are asking for the flip screen. Maybe they didn't want this camera to cater to vloggers. I'm not really sure what Sony's reasoning was, but probably in the next version of the A1 we'll see a flip screen, whenever that might be. Another criticism is probably the price of the camera. Yes, it is, in my opinion, the best hybrid camera out there right now, but I think if it were closer to the $5,500 to $5,000 range, I think Sony probably would have sold a lot more A1s. The Canon R3 that just dropped is $6,000, and Nikon Z9 is $5,500, and even the R5 comes in at $3,900. So if the price was a bit lower, I think Sony probably could have competed with those cameras a bit more, and maybe even got some people to switch over to Sony. At $6,500, it kind of puts it in its own price tier. Although if you're a working professional, price shouldn't really matter that much if you really need a camera like the A1 to do your job, even though yes, it still hurts the wallet. It definitely hurt my wallet, because for the price of the A1 you could get an A7R4 and an A7S III, but then you're carrying around two camera bodies instead of one, and it's just not as convenient, and you're missing out on a lot of pro features that the A1 has that the other cameras don't. So among the A1 community right now, there's some speculation of a possible firmware update that might add some features from the newly released A7 IV, but right now they're just kind of rumors and speculation, so maybe we'll see some new features come into the A1 this year, I hope. So would I recommend the A1? Ultimately, yes, I would. actually. It has all the bells and whistles you could ever want in a camera, minus the flip screen. And it's the best all-in-one hybrid camera you could ever want. If you're like me and you do photo and video full time, then honestly, this is the way to go. Another fantastic budget option maybe you should check out if the A1 is way out of your price range is the A7 IV. It's missing a few pro features from the A1, but honestly, at the price point, you can't beat it. It has to be like probably the best, cheapest hybrid on the market out there right now. It has all the same video features as the A1 minus 4K 120, which I don't think a lot of people need 4K 120 because 4K 60 still looks awesome. I personally use 4K 120 for a lot of things, but I think at that price point, that's really hard to beat. So those are my thoughts on the A1. Let me know what you guys think. Do you own an A1? Are you thinking about buying an A1 possibly? Thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video, subscribe if you aren't, and I will see you guys very soon.